Hello. Welcome to Reality Stories, where stories do come alive. Please subscribe and share with friends. Now relax and enjoy the story. The sound of hammering echoed from the small mechanic shop at the corner of the street. Michael wiped the sweat from his forehead with the back of his oily hand. The afternoon sun burned hot, but he didn't care. Fixing cars was his passion, and every satisfied customer reminded him of the dignity of hard work. Michael, a voice called from across the road. He looked up and saw Grace, his wife, waving at him. She was carrying a small basket of food, her pregnancy bump showing clearly under her flowing gown. She walked slowly, careful with her steps, but her smile lit up the entire street. "Ah, my queen is here," Michael said, dropping his tools. He rushed toward her, gently taking the basket from her hands. "You should not be walking in this heat," he scolded softly, his eyes filled with concern. Grace laughed. "If I wait for you to come home, this food will get cold. And you know the baby, and I don't like cold food." Michael chuckled. "You and this baby, eh? Already ganging up against me." They sat on a wooden bench under the shade of a mango tree. Michael opened the basket and inhaled the smell of jollof rice with fried plantain. "Ah, Grace, you are the best wife any man could ask for. See as the food days smell," he said with excitement. She giggled, patting her belly. "Don't thank me. Thank this little one. The baby insists we must spoil you with good food." Michael leaned forward and pressed his ear gently against her belly. "My child, thank you, oh, but make sure you don't disturb your mother too much. Daddy is already overprotective." Grace laughed, running her fingers through his short, sweaty hair. To anyone watching them, they looked like the perfect couple, young in love and excited about the future. But behind Grace's laughter, a storm brewed. She carried secrets Michael didn't know. Secrets about money, lies, and a temper she couldn't control. Secrets that could destroy everything they had built. "Michael," Grace said suddenly, her voice quieter now. "Yes, my love. Do you ever think about the future? I mean, beyond the shop and the baby?" Michael smiled, wiping his mouth. "Every day. I dream of building a bigger workshop. Maybe even owning a car dealership one day. And I want to buy you a house far from this noisy street. A place with space for the baby to run and play." Grace forced a smile. His dreams were simple and pure, but her ambition stretched further, too far. She wanted more money, more influence, more power than a mechanic's salary could give her. "You're too good, Michael," she whispered. He frowned, turning to face her. "Why do you say it like that?" Grace shook her head quickly. "Nothing. I just feel lucky to have you." He pulled her into a soft embrace. "No, Grace. I am the lucky one. I will always protect you. Always." Those words, meant as a promise of love, would soon become the chains of his destiny. It was late at night when Grace stormed into their home, her eyes red and her breathing heavy. Michael had been dozing on the sofa, waiting for her. He jumped up immediately. "Grace, where have you been? It's almost midnight. I was worried sick." But Grace didn't answer. She was shaking, her hands covered with faint stains of blood. Michael froze. "Grace, what happened?" She dropped her purse on the floor and began pacing the room like a trapped animal. "I didn't mean to do it. I swear, Michael, I didn't mean to." Michael's heart pounded. "Do what?" "Talk to me, Grace." Her words tumbled out in a rush. "It was Mr. Ade, my boss. He accused me of stealing company money. He shouted at me, said he would call the police, said he would ruin my life. I tried to explain, but he wouldn't listen. He grabbed me, pushed me. I pushed back, and then..." Her voice broke into sobs. Michael grabbed her shoulders gently. "Grace, look at me. What happened to him?" "He's dead, Michael," she screamed, covering her face. "I hit him with the flower vase in his office. He fell, and he didn't move again." Michael staggered backward, his mind spinning. His pregnant wife, carrying his child, had killed her boss. "Grace, oh my God." "I didn't mean to," she cried again. "It was an accident. But if they find out, they will take me away. They will take me away from you, from the baby. Michael, please, I can't go to prison." Tears streamed down her cheeks as she fell to her knees before him. Michael's chest tightened. He looked at her, trembling and broken, and then at her swollen belly. The baby, their future. He knelt beside her, lifting her chin. Listen to me, Grace. You will not go to prison. Do you hear me? I promise to protect you. And I will. She shook her head violently. No, Michael, they will blame me. It's my fault. I should... No. Michael interrupted firmly. I will take the blame. I will say I did it. Grace's eyes widened. What? No, Michael. You can't. They will lock you up for years. I don't care, he said with tears in his eyes. I love you, Grace. I love this child. You must stay free for the baby. They need their mother. If I go to prison, I will survive. But if you go, this child will suffer. That can never happen. Grace stared at him in disbelief, torn between relief and guilt. Michael, I can't let you. You don't have a choice, he said, his voice breaking. I'm already decided. Before Grace could protest further, the sound of sirens pierced the night air. Someone must have reported the incident. Michael stood up, pulling Grace to her feet. Wipe your tears. Go inside. Pretend you were asleep. When they come, I will confess. No, Michael, please, she sobbed, clinging to his shirt. He kissed her forehead gently. Remember this. I love you. And one day, our child will know the truth, that I did this out of love. Moments later, heavy knocks thundered on the door. Open up. Police. Michael took one last look at Grace. She stood frozen, her hand on her belly, tears falling like rain. He opened the door slowly. I'm the one you're looking for, he said calmly, though his heart was breaking. The police rushed in, handcuffing him. Grace let out a muffled scream, covering her mouth. Michael, she cried, reaching out for him. But Michael only smiled through his tears as they dragged him away. Take care of our child, he whispered. That night, Michael's life changed forever. The loyal husband who once dreamed of owning a bigger shop was now a condemned man, sentenced not by the court yet, but by love itself. And Grace, though free, carried the weight of his sacrifice like a shadow she could never escape. The heavy iron door slammed shut behind Michael, echoing like thunder in his chest. The prison smelled of sweat, rust, and despair. Guards shoved him into a crowded cell, where 10 men already lay sprawled on dirty mats. Fresh meat, one prisoner muttered, looking Michael up and down. Michael swallowed hard. He was a mechanic, not a fighter, but he kept his head low and whispered a prayer. God, give me strength. I must survive for Grace and the baby. The first weeks were hell. Prisoners mocked him, stole his food, and sometimes beat him. One evening, 2 big inmates cornered him in the yard. Mechanic boy, one of them sneered. You think you're tough because you killed someone? In here, we decide who eats and who starves. Michael clenched his fist but said nothing. They pushed him around. But before things escalated, an older inmate, Samuel, stepped in. Leave him, Samuel warned. This one is not like the others. He has fire in his eyes. The bullies backed off, grumbling. That night, Samuel sat beside Michael. You don't belong here, do you? Samuel asked. Michael shook his head. I took the blame for someone I love. Samuel sighed. Ah, love. The only thing more dangerous than prison walls. Michael said nothing, but his heart tightened. Grace's face filled his mind. The letters. Every week, Michael wrote letters. His handwriting was rough, but his words came from the soul. My dearest Grace, each day without you feels like a year. The walls here are cold, but thoughts of you and our baby keep me warm. Please stay strong for me. One day, I'll come home and we'll be together again. He sealed each letter carefully, giving it to the prison officer for delivery, and every few weeks he received one back. Grace's early letters were filled with love. Michael, I miss you so much. The baby is growing well. I can't wait for you to see him or her. Don't give up. We are waiting for you. Michael would read those lines over and over at night until sleep claimed him. But slowly, the letters grew shorter. Fewer words, less emotion, Sometimes weeks passed without a reply. The visits. At first, Grace visited often. Michael would sit across the glass barrier, holding the phone to his ear, drinking in her smile like water in a desert. "Grace, you look beautiful," he'd say. She'd smile faintly. "It's a pregnancy glow. Have you thought of a name for the baby?" "Not yet. I'm waiting for you to decide." They laughed, they cried, and Michael left each visit with renewed strength. But over time, the visits grew fewer. One month, she came only once. The next month, not at all. Michael would wait by the visitation desk, heart pounding, only to hear the guard say, "No visitor for you today." He forced himself to believe she was busy or tired. But deep down, a seed of doubt began to grow. Samuel noticed his sadness one evening. "Still waiting on her?" he asked. "Yes," Michael replied. "She's my wife. She won't abandon me." Samuel gave him a pitying look. "Hope is good, brother, but don't let hope blind you." Michael clenched his fists. "Grace is different. She loves me." But even as he said it, a whisper of fear echoed in his mind. What if she doesn't? One afternoon, the prison warden called Michael to the office. "You have news," the warden said, handing him a letter. Michael's hands trembled as he opened it. Grace's handwriting danced across the page. "Michael, our baby is here. A beautiful baby girl. She has your eyes and your smile. I wish you could hold her. I named her Angela because she is our little angel." Michael dropped to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you, Lord. A daughter. I'm a father." The other prisoners gathered around as he read the letter aloud. Even hardened men clapped his back, congratulating him. For the first time in months, Michael's heart felt alive again. That night, he wrote back with shaking hands. "My dearest Grace, thank you for giving me the greatest gift in the world. I am the happiest man alive, even in these chains. Please kiss Angela for me every day. Tell her Daddy loves her, even though he cannot hold her yet. I will count every day until I can come home to both of you." He slept that night with a smile on his face. The new silence. But after Angela's birth, Grace's letters slowed even more. She claimed motherhood was exhausting. She said she was busy. She apologized for missing visits. Michael understood at first. "She just needs time," he told Samuel. "The baby must be keeping her up at night." But deep inside, the silence gnawed at him. Richard appears. What Michael didn't know was happening outside the prison walls was darker than he could imagine. Grace had found a new helper. Richard, a wealthy businessman who had quietly helped her cover up traces of the crime. He paid off witnesses, made sure the company hushed the scandal, and even gave Grace financial support while Michael sat behind bars. At first, Grace saw him as nothing more than a savior. But Richard was patient, charming, and generous. One evening, Richard visited her at home. He saw baby Angela asleep in the cot and smiled. "She's beautiful," he said softly. Grace sighed. Michael should be here to see her. He sacrificed everything. Richard leaned closer. "Grace, you don't need to suffer because of his choices. You deserve happiness too. Let me take care of you, both of you." Grace looked away, guilt fighting with temptation. But when she thought of the years stretching ahead, 8 long years of waiting, her heart weakened. Back in prison, Michael continued to write letters, pouring his soul onto paper. "Grace, every day I dream of holding Angela. Please bring her to visit. I want her to know my face. I want her to know her father loves her." But the answers came less and less. Sometimes no answer at all. Michael sat alone in his cell, clutching Angela's name like a lifeline. "She will bring her soon," he told himself. "One day, I will see my daughter." Samuel watched him with sad eyes. "Brother, don't let this prison fool you. Sometimes, the people outside are the real jailers." Michael shook his head. "No, Grace loves me. She promised." Yet, even as he spoke, Grace was spending more evenings in Richard's house. Let herself be drawn deeper into his world of wealth, security, and false comfort. Michael's sacrifice was a chain binding him to suffering, while Grace was quietly slipping away. The prison yard buzzed with the usual noise. Men shouting, the clank of chains, guards barking orders. Michael sat on a low bench, writing yet another letter to Grace. His handwriting had improved after years of practice, his words steady even when his heart trembled. My dearest Grace, I dream of the day I will see you and Angela. She must be 7 years old now, growing, laughing, asking about her father. Please tell her I love her. Please bring her to see me. My heart longs for you both. He sealed the letter and handed it to the guard. He always did, never missing a chance to write, even when answers stopped coming. That afternoon, 2 inmates walked past him, whispering, "Have you heard? His wife no longer waits for him," one said. Michael looked up sharply. "What did you say?" The inmate smirked. "Grace, isn't it? Word is she's living with some rich man in the city. Your daughter calls him father now." Michael's fists clenched. "Lies! Don't you dare speak about my wife like that." The men laughed and walked away. "Keep dreaming, mechanic boy. Prison keeps you blind, but the streets talk." Samuel, the older inmate who'll become Michael's closest friend, sat beside him. "Michael, rumors don't always come from nowhere." Michael's chest heaved. "No, Grace is loyal. She is just waiting until I return. People like to gossip. I refuse to believe." Samuel sighed. "Hope is a dangerous thing, but sometimes it is all we have. Hold on to it if you must." Outside prison, Grace's new life. While Michael fought to protect his faith in her, Grace was living a very different reality. The wedding was grand. A 5-star hotel ballroom filled with flowers, music, and flashing cameras. Grace wore a glittering white gown, her beauty breathtaking. Beside her stood Richard, tall and confident, sliding a golden ring onto her finger. "I do," she said softly, avoiding the memory of the man who once promised to protect her with his life. Angela, now 7, stood between them in a tiny white dress, holding Richard's hand. She had Michael's eyes, but smiled shyly at the man she now called Daddy. Guests clapped, glasses clinked, and laughter filled the hall. Grace smiled for the cameras, but in the corner of her mind, a shadow lingered, the image of Michael in a prison cell. Back in prison. Months later, Michael heard more whispers. Another inmate taunted him directly during lunch. "Mechanic, stop writing those letters. Your wife belongs to another man now. She had a big wedding. Your little girl wore a pretty dress." Michael slammed his tray down, rage burning in his chest. He grabbed the inmate by the collar. "Take that back." Guards rushed in, breaking up the fight. Michael was dragged away, thrown into solitary confinement for 3 days. In the silence of the dark cell, he wept. No, not Grace. She promised. She wouldn't betray me. But the words sounded hollow, even to himself. When he returned to the yard, Samuel placed a hand on his shoulder. "Brother," he said gently, "sometimes love does not survive prison walls. But your heart is still alive. Don't let bitterness kill you." Michael looked away, tears in his eyes. "She is my wife. She is my daughter's mother. I gave up everything for her. I cannot believe she would do this." But deep inside, cracks had begun to form in the fortress of his denial. 8 years. That was how long Michael counted the days on the rough wall of the cell. Little scratches one by one, until the wall became a silent calendar of pain. Then one morning, the guards called his name. "Michael Okafor, pack your things. You're going home." His hands trembled as he gathered the few belongings he had. A worn Bible, a bundle of letters he had written, and a tiny handkerchief Grace once left behind on a visit years ago. The prison gates opened. Michael stepped into the blinding sunlight, inhaling freedom for the first time in years. He knelt on the ground, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you, Lord. I'm going home." The return. The bus ride back to his neighborhood was long and bumpy. Michael sat by the window, heart pounding with every passing street. He imagined Grace's smile, Angela's laughter. He pictured his daughter running into his arms, calling him Daddy. When he finally reached his old street, his chest swelled with joy. But as he approached his house, his steps slowed. Something was wrong. The house looked different. The paint was new, the garden well kept. and in the driveway stood a sleek black SUV, a car far richer than anything he could afford. Michael's heart raced. He knocked on the door. A middle-aged woman he didn't recognize opened it. "Yes? Who are you looking for?" Michael frowned. "This is my house. I'm Michael Okafor. Where is Grace? Where is my wife?" The woman gave him a puzzled look. "Ah, this house was sold years ago. Grace doesn't live here anymore. She married one big man, Richard. They live in the city now." The word stabbed Michael like a knife. No, that can't be true. Grace would never. She promised. Neighbors gathered, whispering, "Is that Michael? The one who went to jail?" "Yes, that's him. Poor man. He doesn't know his wife moved on long ago." Michael staggered, his legs weak. He sat on the curb, burying his face in his hands. The shocking encounter. Later that day, determined to see his daughter, he found Richard's mansion through directions from the neighbors. The gates loomed tall and guarded, but through them he saw a little girl playing in the garden. Angela, his Angela. She had grown tall, with his eyes and smile. His heart swelled. He called out softly, "Angela, Angela, it's me, Daddy." The little girl looked up, confused. Then she ran excitedly, straight into Richard's arms. "Daddy!" she squealed. Michael froze. His mouth went dry. His daughter was calling another man Daddy. Richard lifted her easily, kissing her forehead. Then he looked up and saw Michael standing there. Their eyes locked. Michael's filled with shock and pain. Richard's with cold ownership. The guard quickly pushed Michael back. "Leave this place before we call the police." Michael's voice cracked as he shouted, "Angela, it's me, your father. I am your real father." But the little girl only clung to Richard tighter, hiding her face in his chest. The gates closed slowly, shutting Michael out. He stood there trembling, his vision blurred with tears. The world he had built in his heart for 8 years, the hope that kept him alive, crumbled before his eyes. His wife was gone. His daughter no longer knew him. And he was a free man, yet more imprisoned than ever. Michael stood outside Richard's mansion for hours, refusing to move. He watched the lights go off one by one, his heart pounding with every passing second. Finally, the gate opened. Grace walked out, dressed in elegance, a flowing gown, jewelry glittering under the streetlight. She froze when she saw him. "Grace," Michael whispered, his voice breaking. She looked him up and down. 8 years of prison had aged him, his hair thinner, his body leaner, his eyes weary. "What are you doing here?" she asked coldly. Michael staggered closer. "What am I doing here? Grace, this is my home. You are my wife. Angela is my daughter. I came back for both of you." Grace folded her arms. "Michael, it's over. You chose prison. I chose life." Michael flinched as if she had slapped him. "I chose prison? Grace, I went to prison for you. For your crime. I gave up my freedom so you could raise our child." She shook her head. "You gave up your freedom because you were foolish. I never asked you to confess. You made that choice." His voice cracked. "And you married another man? You let Angela call him father? You erased me as if I never existed." Grace's eyes hardened. "Angela doesn't even know you. She thinks Richard is her father. And I intend to keep it that way." Michael stepped back, his breath trembling. "You can't do this. She is my daughter. I want to see her." "No," Grace snapped. "You won't confuse her life. She has everything she needs now. Money, security, a future. Something you could never give her." Michael's eyes filled with tears. "Grace, after everything I did for you, this is what I get?" Grace's face softened for a second, then hardened again. "Michael, listen. We were young, poor, and desperate. You made your choice. I made mine. This is my life now. Accept it." He fell to his knees, clutching his chest. "You've killed me, Grace. You've killed me without a knife." But Grace only turned away. "Stay out of our lives, Michael. Don't make things harder for yourself." She walked back into mansion, the gate slamming shut behind her. Michael remained kneeling on the ground, tears streaming down his face. His world, his marriage, his family, his dreams was gone. The darkness within. In the days that followed, Michael wandered the streets like a ghost. He slept in cheap lodges, sometimes on church benches, sometimes under trees. He stared at the stars at night, whispering, "Why, God? Why did you let this happen? I gave her everything. I gave her my life." The anger inside him grew. Sometimes he imagined storming Richard's mansion, dragging Grace out, forcing her to confess. Other times, he pictured ending his life to escape the pain. But each time, he remembered Angela's face. She is my blood. I cannot die. I cannot give up. Yet depression clung to him like chains. He was a broken man, trapped between rage, sorrow, and a thirst for justice. One evening, as Michael sat on a bench near the bus station, a familiar voice called out, "Michael? Michael Okafor." He turned. A thin man with sunken eyes approached him, leaning on a cane. Michael blinked, then recognized him. "Daniel? From prison?" Daniel nodded with a weak smile. "Yes, brother. It's been a long time." They hugged briefly, two survivors bound by old scars. "What are you doing here?" Michael asked. Daniel sat beside him, trying to live again. "It's not easy out here. People don't forget we were prisoners." He studied Michael's face. "And you look worse than I expected. What happened?" Michael's throat tightened. "Grace happened. She betrayed me. She married another man. My daughter doesn't even know me." Daniel's eyes darkened. "Richard?" Michael frowned. "You know him?" Daniel hesitated, then leaned closer. "Michael, listen carefully. Richard is not just some innocent rich man. I overheard things in prison. Guards talk. Visitors talk. Richard knows about the night of the murder. He was there or close enough. He helped Grace cover it up." Michael's eyes widened. What are you saying?" "I'm saying you didn't go to prison just for Grace's mistake. Richard was part of it. He had reasons to protect her and himself. You were the perfect scapegoat. A poor mechanic. A loyal husband. Easy to sacrifice." Michael's hands trembled. "So all these years, I rotted in that cell for nothing." Daniel nodded grimly. "Yes, you were played, my friend, used like a pawn." Michael stood, pacing in fury. His chest heaved as realization crashed into him. They destroyed my life. They stole my daughter. They built their happiness on my suffering. Daniel grabbed his arm. "Michael, calm down. Don't do anything foolish. Violence will only send you back to prison. If you want justice, fight with the truth." Michael's mind raced. He remembered Grace's words. "You chose prison. I chose life." Now he knew why she said it so easily. Because she was never alone. She had Richard all along. Michael clenched his fists. "You're right. I won't fight with a knife. I'll fight with the truth. I will expose them. I will take back my daughter. And I will make them pay." A new resolve. For the first time since leaving prison, Michael's eyes burned not with despair, but with purpose. The broken man was slowly becoming whole again. Not through love, but through the fire of justice. As he walked away from the bus station that night, the city lights glimmered ahead. The same streets that once mocked him now seemed to whisper a new promise. Your story is not over. The truth will rise. Perfect. This is a grand finale. Let's expand Chapter 9, Revenge of Justice, and Chapter 10, Redemption, into a full 2,000-word emotional climax with dialogue, revelations, and the fall of Grace. Michael sat in the small, rented room that had become his hideout. On the table lay scattered papers, old letters, prison notes, scraps of information Daniel had given him. But they weren't enough. He needed proof. Proof that Grace and Richard had betrayed him, and that Grace was the real criminal. One evening, as he walked past a newspaper stand, he overheard two men arguing about corruption and scandals. That was when the idea hit him. The press. The next morning, Michael walked into a local newspaper office. Nervous but determined, he asked to see a journalist. A young woman with sharp eyes and a notepad tucked under her arm approached him. "I'm Ada," she said. "What's your story?" Michael's voice shook. I went to prison for a crime I didn't commit. My wife framed me, and now she's living rich with a man who helped her cover up. Ada raised an eyebrow. That's a big accusation. Do you have evidence? Michael hesitated. Not yet, but I know where to find it. I just need help. Ada studied him for a long moment, then sighed. All right, I'll give you a chance. But if I'm risking my career, you better be ready to give me the truth. Michael nodded. I'll give you everything. I have nothing left to lose. Digging into the past. Over the next weeks, Michael and Ada worked together. Ada's press connections opened doors Michael could never have entered alone. They dug into police records, court documents, even hospital files from the night of the murder. One night, Ada spread out photographs on the table. Look at this. Richard's name appears on the visitors list at the police station the night you were arrested. Why would a wealthy businessman visit a poor mechanic's wife unless something bigger was happening? Michael's eyes narrowed. Because he was protecting her. He was already with Grace. Ada nodded slowly. Exactly. And here's more bank records. Richard transferred large sums of money to Grace shortly after your trial. It looks like payment to keep her quiet. Michael's fists clenched. So they've been together all along. While I rotted in prison, they built their life on lies. Ada leaned forward. Michael, this is more than betrayal. This is corruption. If we expose this, it will shake the whole community. The breaking point. They decided to confront Richard's world of wealth. Ada managed to get invited to a charity gala hosted by Richard. She convinced Michael to come along, disguised as her assistant. The grand hall was filled with powerful people, lights glittering, cameras flashing. Michael stood at the edge of the crowd, his heart hammering as he watched Grace laugh beside Richard, draped in jewels. Ada whispered, "Keep calm. Tonight is not for revenge. Tonight, we gather their words." Sure enough, Richard, already tipsy from wine, boasted to a fellow businessman within earshot. "You see Grace? She was mine even before that fool husband went to prison. He thought she loved him. Ha! She was already sneaking into my arms." Michael's blood boiled. His fists curled. But Ada touched his arm, warning him to stay quiet. She recorded the conversation secretly. Later, Grace joined Richard, her voice cold but careless. "Michael is still out there. Sometimes I fear he might try to come back for Angela." Richard smirked. "Let him try. Nobody will believe him. His record is stained forever. We made sure of that." Ada's eyes widened. She captured every word. That night, as they left the gala, Michael whispered, trembling with rage and pain, "Now I have what I need. I'll bring them down." The storm breaks. The newspaper headline came out 2 weeks later. Businessman and wife accused in murder cover-up. Mechanic wrongfully imprisoned for 8 years. The article detailed everything. Richard's payments, his secret relationship with Grace, their betrayal, and Michael's sacrifice. Ada's evidence was bulletproof. The community erupted. Neighbors whispered. Markets buzzed with gossip. Richard's name, once celebrated, became tainted. And Grace, who had lived like a queen, was dragged into shame. At church, women shook their heads as she entered. That's the one who framed her husband. Children whispered in the streets. Her daughter's real father is back. Grace's perfect world was cracking. One night, she confronted Richard in their mansion. "How could you let this happen? They're tearing me apart out there." Richard poured himself a drink calmly. "Don't look at me, Grace. You were the one who pulled the trigger that night. I only helped clean up the mess." Grace froze. "You promised me safety. You said we were in this together." Richard sneered. "That was before it became dangerous for me. Now my reputation is at stake. Do you know how much I've built? I won't lose it for you." Grace's eyes widened. "You're abandoning me?" Richard turned away coldly. "The press already has enough evidence. When the police come, you'll be on your own." Grace collapsed to the floor, screaming, but Richard walked upstairs without a glance. The knock on the door came 2 days later. Police cars lined Richard's driveway, reporters flashing cameras. Grace, pale and trembling, was led out in handcuffs. "Grace Williams, You are under arrest for the murder of Samuel Benson and for conspiring to frame your husband, Michael Okafor. Grace fought, tears streaming. No, it wasn't me. Michael, tell them. You said you loved me once. From the crowd, Michael stepped forward. He looked at her, not with love, but with sorrow. I loved you enough to die for you, and you repaid me with betrayal. The police dragged her away. Richard stood at the balcony, arms folded. A reporter shouted, "Mr. Richard, are you involved in the scandal?" Richard smiled faintly. "I have nothing to do with Grace's actions. I was only a victim of her lies." Michael shook his head, disgusted. Coward. The courtroom battle. In court, the truth was laid bare. Evidence piled against Grace. Richard's recorded words, bank transfers, the journalist's report, and even testimonies from old acquaintances. The final blow came when the judge demanded a DNA test for Angela. Days later, the result was read in court. Michael Okafor confirmed as the biological father of Angela Williams. Michael closed his eyes, tears streaming down his face. Grace gasped, shaking her head. No, Angela is mine. You can't take her from me." But the judge's gavel came down. Given the circumstances and the deception proven, custody of Angela is hereby granted to her biological father, Michael Okafor. Grace screamed as guards pulled her away. Richard never came to her defense. He disappeared from the headlines, focusing only on protecting his empire. A father at last. Weeks later, Michael stood outside a school gate, nervous. Children rushed out, laughing and shouting. Among them was Angela, a beautiful little girl with bright eyes, carrying her backpack. She stopped when she saw him. "Are you Michael?" Michael knelt slowly, tears in his eyes. "Yes, sweetheart, I'm your father." Angela tilted her head. "But they said Daddy was Richard." Michael swallowed hard. "I know they told you that, but the truth is you came from me. I've loved you since before you were born." Angela looked at him for a long moment, then stepped forward and hugged him tightly. "Daddy?" Michael broke down, holding her close. For the first time in years, he felt whole again. The final scene. Months later, Michael stood at the same spot where Grace once told him he had chosen prison. But this time, his daughter stood beside him, holding his hand. The wind was gentle, the sun warm. Michael looked at Angela and smiled. "Life took everything from me once," he said softly. "But now I've got back what truly matters." Angela squeezed his hand. "You'll never lose me, Daddy." Michael nodded, looking up at the sky. Grace betrayed me. Richard abandoned her. But justice found its way. And love. He looked down at Angela with pride. Love survived. With his daughter by his side, Michael walked away from the shadows of the past, finally free, not just in body, but in spirit.